The first role we cast was Audrey, was Emily Rose came in. She was the third person that auditioned or something like that. And we auditioned, I think, 140 auditions we saw. And I had a problem because all these beautiful women kept coming in to audition in our offices, and I would fall in love with each one, and I think, well, that's the most perfect person ever. And then I'd say, Jim, was she any good? And he's like, no.
No, we're still back number 3.
Right. But Emily came in, and she made us, in that moment, she scared the crap out of me. She made me laugh, which I thought, well, everyone's going to make us laugh. This is a pretty funny little scene. Never happened again. And we knew it from that moment, and we kept other people, and you always want, what about that? No. And we kept going back and forth up until the end, and it came down to feel we were completely sure, and I think we did a pretty good job of picking that. Next up was Lucas, and I'll tell you why when we get to Eric, but next up was Nathan. And Nathan is not an easy role because people think that, he doesn't say much, so there's not much going on. Was I talking about Lucas or Nathan? I forget. No, Nathan. And as it turns out, from the very beginning, when we did the scene, we were like, this is one of those things where you have to do it straight and commit to it the whole way, because that's the character. And Lucas is the goofiest man you will ever meet. And all the goofy that you get on screen is what bleeds out from the sides, and that's why Lucas had to be Nathan from the first day. And with Duke, every actor that auditioned for Duke was smarmy.
Hi, family.
Yeah.
We went another 100 auditions, I think, for Duke. We went through a lot.
Because it was smarmy, and they couldn't get the basic humanity of this guy. And I think it all comes down to the line, which was in the season premiere this year, which was when Eric Duke said, "Why does everyone always think that I want to help?" And Eric, in 3-minute audition with just us in a room, we all knew who he was from 6 Feet Under, from 24, from every other freaking thing in the world. And it was like, oh my God, why could you not have shown up 2 months before that? So we didn't have to do it. And so here we are, 2 years later, going to season 3, and these 3 have to be the people that they are, and we're just unbelievably pleased.
Thank you. Would you repeat that speech to my mother sometime?
So as most of you know, as fans of the show revolves around a town of afflicted people known as the Trouble. And it's kind of their job to either corral them in such a way that they can't harm other people, or help them, or just plain old stop them with their real problem. So maybe each of you, including writers in the cast, can talk about which is the troubled person that haunts you to the day you die.
Which troubled person haunts them?
You.
Me? Why is
I mean, if that is a trouble. Are we talking about in real life or in the show?
Actually, let's stick with the show for now.
For the show. Emily.
Really?
Fully.
Do tell.
It's kind of personal. I mean, it involves dream analysis, and basically, I'm like a nice and normal guy in real life. And
You're Canadian, that's why.
Because I'm Canadian. I'd say, actually, it has to be a combination of the both of you. Like, it's one big daily trouble trying to get through life with jokes like this.
I think the trouble, if I can speak to the writers, I think the one we're most interested in is the one that we revealed in the big finale, which of course is Duke, which is what exactly is his place in this whole thing, which is what we're so excited to explore in season 3. And we established the seeds for that in...
Now that we know we're going to have a season 3.
Charles, it's the merman for you, isn't it?
I love guys underwater.
Who's in New York?
Yeah, for me it would be the chameleon. I'm still hooked on the chameleon. The shapeshifter in episode 9. I just think that has a lot of potential.
We'd be happy to know we're not done with that one.
Yep.
And these are the people that haunt you like a nightmare every day of your life.
I think the troubled people that haunted me the most was It's the Lost episode that nobody saw. It's the cast of Celebrity Rehab. Celebrity Rehab 4. I wasn't. Celebrity Rehab 3 was fine.
So I promised to give you guys a couple of questions that might make you cry a little bit, but these are mostly for the writers, the actors, and kind of sit back and enjoy these. So for the writers, if you want to talk a little bit about why it feels like Haven is not just a place on Earth, it's a place that perhaps is steps out of time. It feels like time is stood still, or time is accelerating, or it's just simply separate from the rest of the world. Maybe you could talk about whether there might be a temporal rift or something like that exists in Haven.
Temporal rift?
Yes.
Well, I don't smoke pot anymore. Probably talk about that for a minute. You know,
Are you a writer? You're funny.
I grew up in New York City mostly, and I'm a big city Jew. And Jim is a small town Irish Catholic boy, and we were freshman roommates in college. And I said to him after we were there for a while, I was like, everybody talks about how gross and weird New York City is, but I'm in Minnesota, and everyone's just as gross and just as weird, but they have this smile on all the time, and everybody pretends like it doesn't happen. And we realized we had this common interest in the fact that small towns, it's just all out in the open if you are part of the small town, but if you're outside looking in, it looks normal. And that's something that we've written to in a number of things that we've done together. And so that, it's the temporal rift. You don't need a temporal rift. It's called red state, blue state. It's called that side of the tracks, this side of the tracks. And that's what we write to or try to write to. And everything is so weird in everyday life. Emily was just talking about, going to Jordan to promote her awesome video game, Uncharted 3. Watching the sunset while they're playing the music to Uncharted 3 in Jordan. I mean, you can write that down, but you can't make that stuff up. I mean, it's right there.
You're not going with a sci-fi theory on this then. It's all about politics.
Yeah, I mean, the temporal rift thing, there's, in terms of the actual mythology of the show, who knows? But I think a lot of that actually has to do more with the production of it, because, as Sam was saying, we like the idea of smaller communities and small towns, sort of getting at what's underneath, because we all live in little communities. Even in a city of 10 million people, your circle that you live in isn't that big. And when we set up the design and production values of the show, it being, we're shooting in Nova Scotia, but it's Dublin and Maine, and that rural feel, there's timeless water being around that kind of landscape, and a small town. And
so people have fucked up for centuries here.
Exactly. And so it kind of opens up storytelling, not to be worried about whether people are holding iPhone 4s in their hands. Yes. Because it's really more about the human condition and how messed up we are underneath.
And getting Duke and Nathan's shirts off more next year.
That is fabric rib. We negotiated that.
I actually get to help take his shirt off when he
It's going to be fun. Well, we've tried it a lot.
we were probably more than we needed.
Yeah.
Honestly. But it's fun.
But I think, you see what I have to deal with? I mean, it's a miracle that
We offered to you could totally join in. We said you could. We offered.
We were going to do that thing where we all get together and negotiate as a strong team.
Yeah. She didn't want to be in on the shirts off conversation, so we missed out.
apparently we did.
Okay, one more hard question. Softball here. Is Haven more a story about resolving the trouble or just learning to cope with the trouble?
What's the difference?
Well, when is a problem to be solved and when you just have to live with?
I think in terms of the grand arc of the show and where we end season 7 or 8, we get there. I think there's a reason why we're telling this story about this place now and not 100 years ago, 200 years ago. There's a culmination that is slowly coming into place. over as many seasons as we can manage to make it take.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say, if you haven't heard us say it before, we know the last scene of the series, and we know exactly where we're going. We don't exactly know the pieces of story that we're telling in each season. That's the part we figure out, but we know where we're going.
The sort of tentpole moments that we're working our way through.
Yeah, and that helps a lot in the story.
You've got actually 8 seasons kind of planned out, with little Bible.
We know 80 seasons.
Yeah,
like that.
I mean, you can stretch it a little bit.
And then this is a fan question, this is going to kind of start out there. They want to know if the seasons are going to ever change anything.
You know, I don't know if anyone's been tracking, but it's actually still the summer of 2010. If you've been watching season 2.
Yeah.
This goes back to my temporal rift idea that time has stood still.
We wish they would change, trust me, we wish.
You don't want to shoot the winner, though, do you?
You
I
seem like
don't mind, I feel like I do
I'd love
anyway.
to, yeah.
Rain is the winner.
At least we can put on back at
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, we kind of screwed the actors a little bit with the finale of the first season, where we picked up seconds later, and there I am on the set with Eric, wearing what he wore August 20th of the previous year in the snow. I had 4 coats on and I was shivering, and he was wearing not much more than he was wearing now. Hair and makeup would come up and dust the snow out of his hair, and then they would go back, and I thought, oh, you poor, miserable movie star.
Okay, in my defense, that heating lamp was like 15 feet away. I had to walk across the parking lot.
So we now know that each of the primary cast, as well as their characters, seem to be afflicted in some way or have an ability of their own. Maybe each of the cast could talk about their ability and what they learned this season, where they're kind of speculating it might be.
I guess, yeah, I'll
Take
try.
it away.
Taking it away currently. I guess Audrey's, ability would obviously be to help people. I think she finds her home and her place in that. I think she kind of maybe at times feels a burden from that, like it is a trouble, but yet it is the only thing about herself that she quite understands as being true. It's the only thing that she's able to hang on to. Where that goes for her, I think will be interesting. I think she'll kind of always be pulled between the, helping others and helping them through their sort of emotional issues and actually kind of figuring out her own issues. I think it's always easier to help other people and not help yourself try to figure out what's going on, but I think she'll constantly be pulled, and I think that that's where I see her going, is maybe getting pulled more and more and more.
She's not just going to go around touching people and hoping that their powers or their problems go away.
She's still going to do that.
I don't know. Depends. What happens if I leave and I get here with the trouble of your own for a while?
I don't really, first of all, my name is Nathan Warnos. I play Lucas Bryant on The Haven. As you can know, Nathan can fly, and he's really... We're supposed to give that away?
That's
Somebody else
annoying.
can walk.
Okay, Nathan, it's funny because Nathan's thing, it's not, people call it trouble, but I think, what's a trouble? What's really troubling about being, he's remarkably good looking and
This spell is fantastic.